Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. After spending 9 hours this week, 9, driving my mother-in-law to dialysis appointments, I felt about as lively as a wet paper towel stuck to a shoe. Between getting up at 4:30 in the morning, fighting traffic, parking, then sitting in that waiting room that smells like stale coffee and Lysol for hours, I was basically operating on muscle memory alone. Rosalie, my mother-in-law, bless her, has kidneys about as functional as a brick, so 3 mornings a week we do this little ritual. Diana, my wife, apparently works unmovable corporate hours, code for I'm not doing it, deal with it, Jordan, so it's on me. And this past week was a real gem because Rosalie also picked up some kind of virus, meaning extra appointments, which translated into 9 blessed hours of driving and waiting. And I'm pretty sure I started hallucinating a dancing dialysis machine by Thursday. But hey, it's family, right? We're supposed to sacrifice and show up, so I did it. And by Friday, let's just say my brain was about as fried as a gas station chicken wing. So Friday night, I finally limp home. I drop Rosalie off and think maybe I can get a couple hours of peace, maybe even collapse face first into a pillow without dreaming about dialysis chairs. I pull into the driveway around 7:30 p.m. and immediately clock Bianca's car. Plus 2 more I know from Diana's work happy hours. Great. Nothing says welcome home like a bunch of half-drunk corporate hyenas. I'm dragging my carcass toward the house when I hear them cackling out on the back porch, sounding like a bunch of reality show rejects on discount mimosas. I pause by the side gate, too tired to care but curious enough to listen. That's when I hear Bianca's voice, sharp as a cheese grater, pipe up. He's like a dog. Obedient, pathetic, and too dumb to run away. The table exploded in shrieking laughter, like a bunch of seagulls fighting over a French fry. And then Diana, my darling wife of 8 years, slurred out through her laughter. Don't insult dogs, at least they're loyal and useful. Cue more howling from her peanut gallery. They were laughing so hard, she actually spilled her wine, which dripped off the side of the porch like blood from a cheap horror movie. I swear Bianca nearly fell off her chair. That was it. That was my welcome home committee. I stood there frozen, sweat still sticking my shirt to my back, muscles sore from trying to keep Rosalie comfortable all week, and listening to these so-called adults rip me to shreds like I was the day's entertainment. They laughed and laughed, cackling on the back porch. Our bedroom window was open, so as I trudged up the walkway, I figured I'd grab a quick shower before maybe joining Diana and her squad of discount hyenas. You know, just try to put on a social face for a minute even though my brain was sputtering like a dying lawnmower. I stepped inside, started untying my boots, and that's when Bianca's voice, about as soothing as a smoke alarm, punched through the night air. He jumped, y'all like a dog. Obedient, pathetic, and too dumb to run away. I swear, the blood in my veins turned straight to engine coolant. I froze there, one boot halfway off, just staring. And then Diana, in her Queen of the Roast voice, cracked up so hard she must have sloshed half her grocery store rows onto the deck because she cussed, then said, "Don't insult dogs, at least they're loyal." The whole porch went off like a clown car, shrieking and giggling, practically slapping their knees over how hilarious the pathetic Jordan routine was. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there, filthy from the road, smelling like waiting room coffee, trying to unhook a crusty shoelace. And apparently I'm the night's comedic material. 8 years of marriage boiled down to being a trained mutt, right there in front of Bianca and Diana's HR luncheon fan club. Not going to lie, my first impulse: storm out there and flip the whole porch table over. Glasses, plates, that shriveled charcuterie board, all of it in the grass. Just kapow. Let them chew on that for a minute. But something in me just died. Cold. Like an engine getting slammed with an ice bath and seizing up. So I finished pulling off my boots, every movement mechanical, like I was disassembling a bomb. Marched upstairs, stripped off my clothes, and took the longest, hottest shower of my life. I think I was trying to steam the humiliation out of my pores, but it clung on like mold. When I came back down, hair dripping, I poked my head into the living room. Diana didn't even look up, just gave me a lazy little wave with her wine glass, like I was some passing waiter. "Babe, I'm exhausted," I managed, voice flat. "Driving Rosalie around all week. I'm going to bed." She barely blinked, just went back to showing Bianca something on her phone, giggling. So I climbed into bed, laid there, staring up at the ceiling fan spinning like a cheap hypnotist's wheel, round and round, just like my thoughts. Every snide remark, every quick eye roll, every time she'd cut me off mid-sentence to show her friends a meme or a TikTok, it all hit me like a sledgehammer. So there I was, lying in bed with my phone lighting up my exhausted face at 3:27 a.m., scrolling through old texts like a self-loathing archaeologist digging up broken pottery, when I found that one from last month. I'd asked Diana if she could maybe, possibly, swing by the store to pick up a few groceries on her way home. You know, milk, eggs, bread, the standard civilization-preserving items. Her reply still burned a hole through my retinas. Can't you do it? Not like you have anything important going on today. Nothing important, huh? I was installing a new water heater that day after hours of it leaking rusty sludge all over the floor, but apparently keeping us from showering in brown goo wasn't important. Who needs a working water heater when you can just laugh at your husband on the porch, right? Anyway, I was driving Rosalie to her Saturday 5:30 a.m. appointment, a time of day that feels illegal to even acknowledge, and by mile 20 on the freeway, I was basically monologuing to my old F-150 like it was a licensed therapist. Listen, buddy, I muttered to the steering wheel. You're the only one who gets me, huh? You keep rolling, I keep rolling, and neither of us gets a thank you. That truck didn't answer, but the way the engine sighed over a pothole felt like agreement. By the time I pulled Rosalie back into her driveway, I decided what needed to be done. First call was to Martin, my buddy since high school. Construction guy, divorced 3 years ago, knows all about women who think men are walking toolboxes. I laid it all out for him, no sugarcoating, just straight up. Martin, she called me a dog, man. A pathetic dog. And laughed about it. Martin's voice boomed through the line. Brother, you're not a dog. You're a goddamn workhorse they're riding into the ground while they laugh about it. A workhorse. That hit different. Next call was to Ramon, my financial advisor. I told him flat out, Ramon, I think I'm going to have to, plan ahead. He got the message. Turns out, there's a ton you can do to protect yourself financially when you're married to someone who sees you as a glorified Uber driver with a dishwasher setting. Meanwhile, the real kicker? Rosalie, sweet, tired, gentle Rosalie, has no clue what comes out of her daughter's mouth. She actually cried yesterday, hugged me with those thin dialysis-weary arms, and told me, Jordan, I don't know what I'd do without you. You're the son I never had. That about split my brain in two. Over this weekend, I've been quiet, deadly quiet. Diana hasn't noticed. She's too busy with her social calendar, flipping through her happy hours, to see the look in my eyes shift. Something inside me changed, dropped down like a transmission shifting into low gear, slow, unstoppable, methodical. Ever wonder how a person can share your bed for 8 damn years and still look at you like you're a half-trained dog instead of a human being with, feelings and a working spine? That's the question spinning around in my skull, night after night, keeping me up staring at the ceiling fan like it's going to spell out the answer in Morse code. I'll keep helping Rosalie. She deserves it. She's never treated me like trash. But Diana? Let's just say this obedient dog is about to remind them what happens when you kick a loyal creature one too many times. I've been researching, documenting, lining things up like an engine teardown, every bolt, every gasket, nothing missed. But there's a part of me, a big dumb hopeful part, that still wants to just look her dead in the eye and ask straight up, do you really think I'm nothing but a pathetic dog? That's all I got for now, I guess. Rosalie's next dialysis is at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. So I'm going to try to snatch maybe 4 hours of sleep before the alarm starts shrieking at me like an angry rooster on meth. Day 1, called the bank. Got a separate account set up faster than you could say financial independence. Redirected my entire direct deposit there, effective next paycheck. Left enough in our joint account to cover the bills. I'm not trying to leave Diana high and dry overnight, but I wasn't about to let her vacuum out my money once she got wise. Day 2, called Rosalie's clinic. Explained, politely, that I was getting roasted alive trying to haul her around at dawn 3 days a week, though I left out the part about her daughter's hyena-laughing wine club. The receptionist was super understanding, bless her. Rearranged most of the appointments to later in the day, except for one early morning a week. Small victories. Diana, meanwhile, still hadn't noticed squat. She's too busy scrolling TikTok while I'm stirring the pasta sauce. No clue the ground under her is shifting like a California fault line. Day 3. Okay, this wasn't supposed to happen so soon, but something in me just clicked. I was sitting at the kitchen table, trying to talk to Diana about the leaky faucet in the upstairs bathroom, because, water damage is sort of a problem, and she was half listening, half watching some phone video of a dog wearing sunglasses. I looked across the table and thought, enough. Diana, I said, steady as I could, I heard what you said about me to your friends that night on the porch. Her head snapped up so fast I swear I heard a little neck crack. Her eyes went from wide, like someone just found a spider in their cereal, to narrow and calculating in about half a second. First thing out of Diana's mouth after I called her out? Flat denial, like she'd practiced it in front of the bathroom mirror. What are you talking about? You're being weird. Weird? Lady, I was being weird. After you called me a pathetic dog to your giggle squad? So I repeated the line word for word. Obedient, pathetic, too dumb to run away, and you should have seen how fast she switched gears. Like a cheap transmission about to drop its gears in the driveway. Oh my God, it was just girl talk. Everyone vents about their partners. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Girl talk? Right? Nothing says girl talk like comparing your spouse to a half-trained yard dog. I didn't even bother replying, just stared at her and let the silence grow, all heavy and oppressive, like radiator coolant flooding a boiling engine. Then I asked, calm as could be, do you think it's normal to compare your spouse to a pathetic animal while he's literally exhausting himself helping your sick mother? And that's when the waterworks kicked in, fake tears, of course, more like when you flick water on a sizzling cast iron pan, all dramatic hissing for 5 seconds before it vanishes. I'm sorry you feel that way, she sniffed. Ah yes, the world-famous non-apology, I'm sorry you feel that way, which is basically code for your feelings are the problem, not what I did. Day 4. I had enough. Called up Diana's brother, Ryan. Always liked him, solid guy. Told him I needed to talk about something serious, about Rosalie's care. Met him at this greasy spoon diner, sat him down, and dropped the bomb. Ryan, I'm gonna play you something, and you need to hear it to the end. I hit play on the voice memo. Yeah, I recorded that night. After hearing them the first time, I'd gone outside, started the recording app, and set my phone on the windowsill before hitting the shower. I checked the Texas laws on one-party consent first, of course. Ryan went through about 5 different facial expressions in 30 seconds flat. Confusion, disbelief, rage, embarrassment, then finally just a cold, soul-deep disappointment. Send me that, he said quietly. I did. No hesitation. Day 5. Radio silence. Nobody from Diana's family texted, called, sent a carrier pigeon, nothing. Later Ryan told me he played the recording for Rosalie. Apparently she cried for a solid hour, and then phoned Diana to rip her a brand new one. Ryan said he'd never heard his mom go off like that on anybody. Meanwhile, I went full gray rock mode, like one of my peers suggested. Just turned into a blank wall. No more cooking her favorite meals. No more picking up her dirty coffee cups from random corners of the house. No more pretending to care how her day went. Didn't yell, didn't sulk, didn't slam doors. Just idled and neutral. Emotionally unhooked. Day 8. Diana rolled in the door with flowers, discount tulips, I noted, and my favorite Thai takeout. Put on this sugary voice like she was auditioning for a toothpaste commercial. Babe, I really think we can move past this rough patch, she cooed. I want us to reconnect. Yeah, right. I ate the pad thai, nodded, said thanks for dinner, and carried my plate to the sink. Then I walked straight to the spare bedroom where I've been sleeping. Later that night, after moving into the spare bedroom, I took out the recycling and noticed 3 empty wine bottles rattling around like the ghosts of bad decisions. Then I heard Diana on the phone with Bianca, full-on crying, snot bubble style from the sound of it. Funny how sound travels through the vents, huh? Cuts both ways. Day 10. I called my sister Darlene across town. She's always had my back, the ride or die type. We talked for almost 2 hours, me laying out every rotten piece of this circus. The porch comments, the half apologies, the fake tears, all of it. By the end, Darlene just sighed and said, Jay, the guest room is yours for as long as you need it. No rush, no pressure. Bless her. She's the type who keeps spare clean towels folded and ready even when you aren't sure you're coming. After that, I started packing, quietly, methodically, like a raccoon gathering shiny treasures. A few documents, a couple family photos, a backup hard drive with all my important stuff, my grandpa's pocket knife. Small enough she wouldn't notice them missing, but important enough that if she torched the place tomorrow, I'd still have what mattered. Day 12. This is where it got interesting. I was home alone. Diana was off getting her hair shellacked at her weekly appointment when the doorbell rang. Bianca. Yeah, that Bianca. She asked if she could talk to me alone, and I let her in, mostly out of curiosity. I mean, what was left to lose? She stood there twisting her car keys in her hands and looking like she'd just seen a ghost. Jordan, she started, voice all wobbly, I want to apologize. About that night. It was wrong. We were drunk, but still, it was wrong. Okay, didn't see that coming. Then she dropped the bomb. Diana had apparently been bad-mouthing me for months. Little digs about how simple I was, how easy it was to flutter her lashes and get me to jump, how I'd never grow a backbone. Why are you telling me this now? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Bianca sighed, deep enough to stir a hurricane. Ryan played me that recording, and it made me see how toxic our whole friend group is. I can't keep being part of that. I thanked her. Genuinely. I mean, at least she came clean, which was more honesty than I'd seen from my own wife in months. After she left, I sat in my truck for an hour, talking to the dash like it was my therapist. Well, old buddy, I told the steering wheel, guess you're still the best listener I've got. Day 13, execution day. I waited until Diana was off to work, then took a personal day from my job, called Martin and two other buddies who owed me more than a few favors, and rented a moving truck the size of a school bus. We went through the house like a precision pit crew. I took exactly half of everything, right down to the measuring cups and spare light bulbs. Her half I left neatly arranged, Marie Kondo style. No slashed tires, no ketchup-smeared walls, none of that. Just quiet, efficient, unstoppable. Wrote a note in my neatest handwriting. Diana, I'm moving out. I'll still help with Rosalie's appointments. But our marriage is over. I'll be in touch by email about next steps. By 3 p.m., I was sitting on Darlene's porch with a sweaty glass of iced tea, feeling something I hadn't felt in months, peace. Then the texts started flooding in. First, where are you? Then, where's your truck? Then her texts got real interesting. First was confusion, like she'd been whacked with a frying pan. Did something happen? Then realization came rolling in, smacking her upside the head. Are you serious right now? You moved out without even talking to me. After that, predictably, came the rage stage. You can't just leave like this. This is abandonment. I'll tell everyone what you did. And once she'd screamed into the void for a bit, bargaining showed up, wearing its sad clown makeup. Please come home. We can fix this. I'll go to counseling. I'll do whatever you want. I only responded once. One time, as cold and clinical as a hospital discharge form. I'm safe. I'm staying with family. I'll continue taking Rosalie to her appointments. All other communication needs to go through email from now on. Then I muted her number so fast, it was like hitting the ejection seat. Day 14. Took Rosalie to her appointment this morning. She reached over and squeezed my hand while we waited, dialysis machine humming in the background like a grumpy coffee maker. Jordan, she said, tears threatening at the corners of her eyes, I'm ashamed of how my daughter treated you. No matter what happens between you two, you'll always be family to me. Not going to lie, y'all, that hit me straight in the chest gasket, deep. While Rosalie was in treatment, I checked my email and saw that Diana had sent me 17 messages overnight. 17. A tragic buffet of threats, guilt trips, heartfelt apologies, and then, because life is hilarious, boring practical questions about bills. Speaking of bills, I paid my half of this month's mortgage and utilities, then yanked every last automatic payment off our joint accounts. Car insurance, Netflix, the premium cable package, and her minimum credit card payments? All stuff that used to slurp money right from my paycheck like a leech. All about to come due next week with no automatic rescue. Let's see how she likes remembering bill deadlines. Called a divorce attorney this afternoon, too. Got a consultation scheduled for Monday. One more line on my to-do list checked off. And here's the funny part. I'm weirdly calm. Like, for a guy whose entire life just got stripped down to the bare frame and is now being rebuilt from scratch, I feel more at peace than I have in years. Sure, there are moments where it hits me, like this morning, when I want to make coffee and realized I'd left my favorite mug behind. That stung. But mostly I feel unburdened. Like I've been dragging a trailer with faulty brakes up a mountain for 8 years, and someone finally unhooked it so I can drive freely again. Diana's latest text? Yeah, I still read them, just don't answer. This one said, you can't just throw away 8 years like they meant nothing. You owe me a conversation at least. And you know what? I'm not the one who threw away those 8 years. I'm just the one who finally realized how much they were worth to her. That's all I got for now, y'all. Rosalie's got another appointment tomorrow afternoon, and Darlene drafted me to fix her garbage disposal tonight in trade for room and board. Life goes on, one bolt at a time. Later, Diana had just shown up at Darlene's place out of nowhere. What I didn't mention was how off she seemed. Not drunk, exactly, but not firing on all cylinders either. Darlene described her best: hair a tangled rat's nest, dark circles, pajama pants with a wrinkled blouse that looked like she'd pulled it from the bottom of the hamper. My wife, soon-to-be ex, is the kind of person who puts on mascara just to check the mailbox. So seeing her like a bargain bin sleep-deprived raccoon, something was definitely cracked under the hood. Day 15. Had that consultation with the attorney. Solid dude. Didn't try to upsell me on some scorched earth divorce package. Just laid out the Texas community property rules nice and clean. Half of everything we built in the marriage is hers. Half is mine. When I showed him how I'd already divided up the house with photos and lists, he raised an eyebrow and actually chuckled. You'd be surprised how many people don't do this, he said. I just shrugged. I mean, why trash the place? No need to dump gasoline on an already burning ship. Later that evening, Ryan texted, asking if we could meet. We hit that coffee place near the hardware store. Ryan looked like a zombie with insomnia, eyes all puffy, stress lines deep enough to need asphalt filler. He ran a hand over his face and sighed like a man on the edge. Jay, she's called me 20 times a day, he told me, crying, screaming, sometimes both at once. Then he dropped the kicker. She showed up at my apartment at midnight last night, pounding on the door, woke up my kid. Said I had to convince Mom to stop talking to you. I nearly spit my coffee across the table. And Rosalie? I asked. Ryan snorted. Told Diana exactly where she could shove that idea. Rosalie might be dealing with kidney failure, but she's still got a steel backbone. Day 16 and 17. Relative quiet. Too quiet. Like the part in a horror movie where you just know the killer is about to jump out. Diana went full digital ghost mode. No texts, no posts, no random calls. Darlene even joked. Maybe aliens finally abducted her. I almost started to worry something really had happened to her. I mean, how long can you go without drama when you thrive on it? But no, should have known. It was just the calm before the storm. Day 18. Took Rosalie to her appointment again. Good news for once. Her numbers are improving, and the doctor is even talking about cutting dialysis down from 3 times a week to twice. Small wins feel big these days. I was sitting there in the waiting room, half reading a magazine about boats I'll never own, half zoning out, when my phone blew up with notifications. Diana went full nuclear on Facebook. Full nuclear. Wrote up some tragic novella about how I had abandoned her without warning, and how the man she trusted with her heart had betrayed her in the cruelest way. Tagged half our mutual friend list. 2. Classic Darvo move if I've ever seen one. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Thing is, the comments section? That was where the popcorn-worthy stuff went down. Ryan just put a single question mark, probably the most savage punctuation mark on the planet in that moment. Then Bianca, yeah, the same Bianca who started the dog talk, chimed in with, there are 2 sides to every story. Maybe people shouldn't rush to judgment. Okay, Bianca, bit late to grow a conscience, but better than never, I guess. Then Martin, bless that man's petty little heart, dropped the hammer. Funny how you left out the part where you called your hard-working husband a pathetic dog while he was driving your mother to dialysis. 37 likes before Diana deleted the entire post in a fit of embarrassment. Guess she couldn't stand her own dirty laundry flapping in the wind. Day 19. Time to pick up more of my stuff. Coordinated with Diana, so I'd come by while she was at work, because honestly, I was not in the mood for another episode of As the Porch Turns. When I walked in, place looked like a raccoon convention gone wrong. Dishes piled up, rotting takeout boxes everywhere, dirty laundry draped on every flat surface like tragic modern art. The sink was clogged, and judging by the half-disassembled drain parts lying on the floor, she'd actually tried to fix it herself, then rage quit halfway through. For half a second, muscle memory nearly kicked in, my brain screamed grab the wrench, fix it, but then I snapped out of it. Not my problem. Not anymore. While I was gathering the last of my tools from the garage, I got a text from an unknown number. Turns out it was Taylor, one of the original Porchwine hyenas. Hey, Jordan, I'm just worried about Diana. Maybe you're being too harsh by cutting her off completely. Oh really, Taylor? Miss he's too dumb to run away was worried? I fired back one line and left it there. Would you want to stay married to someone who laughed about you being pathetic and useless behind your back? No reply. Shocker. Day 20 and 21. Rosalie invited me to Sunday dinner. Just me and her, no drama. She made her famous pot roast, the one that smells like heaven in a crock pot. Over dinner we had a real, honest heart-to-heart. She actually apologized for raising a daughter who could be so cruel. That about cracked my heart in half. You have nothing to apologize for, I told her. Grown kids make their own choices. Before I left, she handed me a small wooden box. Inside was her father's old pocket watch. Said she'd been saving it for the son she always wanted. Yeah, y'all, I don't cry much, but I had to go sit in my truck for 10 solid minutes before I trusted myself to drive away. Day 22. Then came the Texas spring rainstorm. If you've never lived through one, let me tell you, it's a biblical-level event. Thunder rattling the windows like a sledgehammer, lightning lighting up the night sky like a camera flash, rain coming down like someone was dumping buckets straight from the roof of heaven, around 9 p.m. I was halfway under Darlene's sink, trying to chase down a leaking P-trap, when headlights swept across the front windows. I froze like a raccoon in a trash can. Diana's car, parked sideways, taking up both spots in the driveway like she was expecting a getaway. That was my first clue this was going to be fun. Darlene and I locked eyes. She raised an eyebrow. Want me to call the cops? I wiped my hands on a rag and sighed. Let's wait and see. Didn't have to wait long. Diana came storming up the front walk. No umbrella, no raincoat, just straight up, soaked like a sad sponge. Started pounding on the front door hard enough to rattle the hinges. Darlene cracked the door, keeping the chain on. Diana tried to shoulder barge right through anyway, like she was about to repo a car. "I need to see Jordan right now," she yelled. Darlene, all 5'2" of righteous fury, held her ground. "Back up, or I'll call the police." Diana scowled, stepped back, but didn't leave. Just stood there on the porch while the rain turned her into a raccoon-eyed mess. And then, the screaming started. She let it all pour out, louder than the thunder overhead. "How could you do this to me? 8 years meant nothing to you? You're cruel, heartless. You cut me off without even letting me explain or make things right." Between the mascara rivers and the shrieking, I couldn't decide if I should hand her a tissue or a microphone. She kept going. "I can't pay the credit card bill. They're charging me late fees. My car needs new brakes and I can't afford them. Everyone is taking your side, and I'm losing all my friends." It was a tragic opera, y'all, with Diana in the starring role of victim of the year. What she never said, not once, was, "I'm sorry for calling you a pathetic dog while you were busting your tail to help my sick mom." That apology? Nowhere to be found in the greatest hits of Diana. I stood in the doorway, just watching her, this woman I'd spent nearly a decade with, unravel on my sister's porch like a cheap sweater in a hurricane. And the strangest thing? I felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no revenge thrill, no pity, just this calm, solid certainty that I was watching someone else's mess. Finally, when she paused to catch her breath, I stepped forward. "Diana, I'm not enjoying seeing you like this," I told her, as evenly as a judge reading a parking ticket, "but I'm not responsible for it, either. You showed me exactly who you were and how you saw me, and I'm just believing you." She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Rain pounded on the porch roof like a war drum. "Adults," I added, "face consequences for their choices. These are yours." And then, because I guess I couldn't help myself, I twisted the wrench one more time. "I will always make sure your mom is cared for, Diana. Even if you won't. Because that's what decent humans do for each other." That hit her so hard I swear you could practically hear something snap inside. She just stood there, mouth flopping open and shut like a fish gasping for air. Then she whispered, voice hoarse and raw, "I made one mistake, one stupid comment when I was drunk, and you're throwing away our whole marriage over it." That was the moment I decided to play the ace I'd been holding up my sleeve. Calm as a mechanic about to quote an expensive repair bill, I pulled out my phone, tapped open the voice memos, and hit play. Not just the dog comment. Oh no. That was just the amuse-bouche. I served up 3 more tasty courses. One where Diana told Bianca how she'd train me to do the grocery shopping by pretending to be bad at it, so I'd just take over. One where she laughed about how I was so naive I actually believed she cared about my boring stories from work. And the piece de resistance, Diana bragging about how she could get me to do literally anything by withholding for a few days. Her face went from flushed to pale like I'd sucked the battery straight out of her. "How long have you been recording me?" she hissed. I just shrugged, cool as a fan. "I haven't been," I said. "Just happened to catch these few incidents." Once I started paying attention, she opened her mouth, then shut it again. "Texas is a one-party consent state," I reminded her, in case she thought about lawyering up. She didn't argue, didn't say another word, just turned, walked back into the pouring rain, and drove away. Day 23 to 27. Divorce proceedings officially started. Ryan texted me that Diana had been trying to hit up their parents for money to help cover bills. They refused. Apparently she's hunting for a roommate now, since she can't swing the mortgage solo. Meanwhile, I found myself a small apartment close enough to help Rosalie, but far enough away that I didn't have to worry about bumping into Diana or her leftover friend group. Darlene came over to help me move in. The place is humble, but it's mine. Me, my tools, and some peace and quiet. That's all I need. Day 28. Met with the mediator to finalize the divorce details. Diana came in looking like someone had let all the air out of her tires. No screaming, no tantrums, just deflated. We settled everything in under 2 hours. She keeps the house and the mortgage. I keep my truck, my tools, and we split the savings right down the middle. Even the mediator looked surprised. She didn't contest a thing. As we were leaving, Diana asked, "Can we talk privately?" Against my better judgment, I nodded. For the first time in, ever, she actually gave me a real apology. "No sorry you feel that way. No but you overreacted nonsense. Just a straight up sorry." She told me she'd been thinking hard, that she realized she'd taken me for granted, had never really considered what would happen if I wasn't there fixing everything, paying for everything, keeping her world running. I let it sink in, then nodded. "Thank you," I said. "I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for." Then I turned and left. Driving home, talking to my dashboard like an old friend, it hit me. For 8 years, I'd been the fixer. The guy who held the bolts together. The one who kept the engine running when it should have been junked. Never once did it cross my mind that sometimes, the best fix is knowing when to walk away from a machine that can't be repaired. So that's where things stand now. The divorce will be final in a couple of months. Rosalie's health is looking up. Her doctor says she might be a transplant candidate next year, which feels like winning a small lottery. On the weekends, I help Martin with his deck project. Payments in beer and barbecue, which, let's be honest, is a fair deal any day. Life still isn't perfect. My apartment pipes make weird noises I can't quite figure out yet, and the neighbor's dog starts barking at 5 a.m. like clockwork. I still sometimes reach across the bed expecting someone to be there. But for the first time in forever, I'm not someone's tool. I'm not someone's dog. I'm just me. A guy with a beat-up toolbox and a heart that's starting to mend, figuring out how to rebuild after years of wear and tear. That's all I got for now, y'all. Thanks for riding shotgun with me through all. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.